The language gap creates significant disparities in the safety of artificial intelligence globally. That's what the team at Cohere, the people who developed Aya, found when looking at their reflections from their global initiative to develop and release multilingual language models, instruction datasets, and evaluation datasets. There are a lot of really interesting things from their reflections. One was about the need for the people who speak the languages of the models to be evaluating the models. Another was about the need for long-term investment to ensure that the models are robust. They also made suggestions about when a model is released, the developers should say what languages the models were trained with and how well the models work in those languages. But what I found most interesting was the analysis they did of the safety mitigation measures across languages. So what measures are in place to ensure that the outputs of generative AI are safe? Basically, they found that there aren't many mitigation measures built and used outside of English or monolingual data sets. And that meant that they found that 32% of the outputs in Hausa were harmful. So if you're using GPT-4 in Hausa, so you ask it to do something and it gives you an answer or it gives you an output, 1 in 3 of those is going to be harmful. That compares to 0% in French and Chinese, or 1% in Dutch or Turkish, 2% in Russian. Hundreds of millions of people speak Urdu, and 1 in 4, 27% of the outputs in Urdu were harmful. And that's just not acceptable. Now, they point out that there are a lot of reasons for this. Of course, data is a problem. There isn't a lot of data in low-resource languages. That's why they're called low-resource languages. And the data that's out there is not necessarily the safest data. Another thing they talk about is computing power. It is expensive, and there isn't a lot of computing power in the countries where people speak low-resource languages. But they also point out that there are other things that can be done. One is to ensure that, for example, the models are being evaluated and developed by people in the countries where low-resource languages are spoken, and evaluated and safety mitigations put in place that are developed by people who speak low-resource languages in the country where low-resource languages are spoken. And that's what's interesting in low-resource language tech.